What's going on, Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
We are here. It is Wednesday night. Thanks everybody for being here. Another Star Wars Jedi Chat podcast. Got everybody here this week, which is awesome. So we're here and we're going to be talking Star Wars. And guys, there was a movie that came out since the last time we talked.
Never heard of it.
Whoa.
Right? So
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to sort of break that down a little bit, get everybody's reviews and how many times they've seen it and what's going on with that. We'll talk a little bit about Ahsoka. We'll sort of talk about as well, just sort of like the thumbnail, what's going on with this movie and what has changed and what are we getting in the future here and how much this has changed the Disney perspective, I think, as we go forward. So,
well, let's also give a disclaimer that this will be spoiler alerts.
Yes.
But also, if you haven't seen the movie, you're a disgrace, and I'm ashamed of you.
Disgrace. Disgrace and ashamed of you.
So, welcome to the chat, folks.
Yes, there are spoilers, like Derek said. So, if you are here now, it looks like there's only a few people, which is cool. I know we'll be growing here in a minute, but yeah, if you're here and you haven't seen the movie, it's okay to check this out after you see the movie, but come back and make sure you check it out after you see the movie. So let's say hi to everybody that is in here right now. Jessica's in here. Nathan is in here. Max Rebo is here. 50 Thunder. And I thought I saw Lane, but I did not. So I'm sure he'll jump on here shortly. So thank you guys all for being here. Appreciate it. If you want in the chat here, let everybody know, have you guys seen the movie yet? Let the chat here, if you've seen it, what you thought about it, and how many times you've seen it. So it's so cool. It's like, I mean, I know Star Wars wasn't dead or anything, but it's like Star Wars is back again because it's just so fun that we have a movie that's out there. I went and saw it, as you guys know. I went and saw it again last night.
How many times are you up to now?
Only four. But and I was gonna go. I was gonna go a few times this weekend, but I get to spend the weekend doing something else, which will be crazy enough. It'll actually be better than going to see the movie, which will be fun. But so Jessica has not seen it yet. Max saw it Thursday night. Nice. So did me and Mike. I do want to say that Mike and I had a awesome time. We finally got to meet in person. We got to hang out. Got to meet Holly and some other people that from the chat, which was really cool, and had a great time at the IMAX theater. And then we went again on Friday, just for the hell of it, you know. Yeah. So I'm gonna start with Nick. You want to give us your thoughts on the movie there, buddy?
All of the thoughts?
Not all of them, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, all right, so you did see it. When did you see it? Did you see it
Thursday? Yep.
Okay.
Real early. I think our show time was like 6:15.
Oh, that's right. Nice.
Yep. It's very much like, felt like a Star Wars premiere, right? Like hurried to the seat, full house. IMAX was huge. Saw it twice. What else did you say just now, Ron? Because I want to keep it consistent. I want to get into.
No.
Yeah.
So you saw it Thursday and you saw it twice. So no, that's cool. That's cool for now. If there's a bunch more people on here, we are talking about Mandalorian and Grogu. So let us know in the chat if you have seen it, because there will be spoilers. So if you need to leave and come back and check this out tomorrow or the next day, whenever you watch it, please do that. But there are spoilers ahead. So, Derek.
I saw it Thursday night after I had a hockey game and I was exhausted, but I went to Flick's Brew House, which I know they're like a chain. But I was the only one in my theater and it was incredible. So it was like, I had my own waiter. I felt like king in the castle. It was so great. I'm sitting in the middle of the theater. They're bringing me my beer and they're bringing me my food. And I'm just like in there screaming. And I just told the waiter, and I'm like, I'm going to make one order and you can go home for the rest of the night. I don't care what you do. I don't need anything else. This is it. And I'm like in there just yelling at the screen the whole time and just having the greatest time ever.
Nice.
Well,
Holly's
we
here,
had
Lobo. Go ahead, Mike. What were you saying?
We had very different experiences with this movie.
Yes.
As Ron said, yeah, and Nick said it too. Like, our theater was absolutely sold out Thursday and Friday. So the exact opposite of Derek's experience, but it was a blast. Seeing Star Wars on the big screen is one thing. Seeing it with a crowd of people laughing and reacting and all that great stuff. I'm sure Derek was as loud as a whole group of people. But
absolutely, I was obnoxious. It was
Yeah.
good that no one else was in there.
Yeah, but it was great. I mean, it was awesome to watch it again a second time. I think was even better than the first because you're not going in with the expectation of some things we're going to talk about tonight. But yeah, I mean, it's great to be back on the big screen. And as Ron said, it does feel like just more normie fans, just everybody's talking about Star Wars. Everybody's talking about how Star Wars is back on the big screen, which is just great. We've had great stuff on Disney Plus. We just came off the backs of Maul's Shadow Lord, but the normie audience is not watching that, and it just is a different feel when Star Wars is on the big screen. So it's nice.
Yeah, for sure. It's something that you really can't explain until you go see it and get out. And even yesterday when I went last night, I mean, it was probably half full. You know, still in IMAX,
Nice.
which I didn't realize is even with my Regal Movie Pass for IMAX, I still had to pay $30 to go see it again. And I was just like,
Oh,
what the hell?
oh, well, and maybe that was the difference too. Like, because I asked the guy at my theater, I was like, have all of them been this way? And he's like, oh no, they were packed. But I think mine wasn't IMAX, but it was like the super nice recliners. But there was like 6 theaters in Des Moines playing the movie, and Des Moines not big, like
Yeah.
350,000 people in the greater area. That's a lot of theaters playing it, and all of the theaters had IMAX. So I knew what I was going into. I am not mad at all.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Lobo's here. 7:30 Evie is here. I think Derek might be a little jealous of Lobo. He looks like he said he went to the new Smuggler's Run twice. I think he said.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The new
I mean, I got to do the old version one last time, which was great.
awesome.
But yes, I'm sure I will be at one of the parks soon enough to ride it. Hopefully.
Yeah. It
Yes,
is
I'm
really
jealous.
cool. The destinations being Coruscant, Tatooine, and and Endor. The wreckage of the second Death Star, which is really cool.
So I guess my first question, I know we're going to get into some more spoilers, and Mike and maybe Derek, I don't know, Nick, you might know as well. Do we know what that snowy planet was yet? Do we know what have they identified that yet? No. Okay.
No.
That's
Just a lot of
one thing I'm
speculations.
very curious about, which I think, do you think that we will find out what planet it is?
I mean, probably eventually, but at this point, if we haven't found out yet, I don't think it's going to be anything important. Unless it is Starkiller Base and they just didn't want to tell us for some reason. It could just be like in Andor season 2. At the beginning, we see Yavin 4, and it's just a bunch of people fighting in the woods. And then by the end of the season, it's the Rebel base. So maybe we just got a little sneak peek at Starkiller Base, which is an Imperial base. We saw a bunch of AT walkers. We saw a whole Imperial facility, but it's not Starkiller Base yet. So maybe that would be my dream. I don't think it's Hoth. It could just be a brand new planet. But if it is like Andor did, giving us an earlier look at Yavin, I'd be down for that.
Yeah, and that's what I was hoping, that at some point we will get the confirmation that that's what it is, because you have the Empire on there already. Now, we don't know if there's anybody else. I mean, I'm sure the planet's very big, sort of like Earth or whatever. So they might not know, the Rebels might not know what's going on, somewhere else, and they just send Din Djarin to this spot to do that. But yeah, I think that would be cool if they tie that in, and eventually it becomes that, like you said, when the first time they're on Yavin and it's just a bunch of goofballs in the middle of the woods shooting at each other and stuff like that, and they don't even really know that they have a hideout yet. So I think that would be pretty cool if we do get something like that. So the what was your guys' thoughts on the action in this? How was were you guys happy throughout the whole movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, stop smiling the whole movie.
Yeah.
So since we're doing spoilers, like we can now freely talk about even when we saw the first 30 minutes, right?
Well, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So spoilers ahead. Just to put a pin in the last thing, I personally think the snowy planet is nothing. The logic for me is that, like, I think Jan just said it. Hi, Jan. It's in Fallen Order, the facility on Ilum, which is where Starkiller Base is already pretty substantial. I feel like at this point in the Starkiller Base logical expansion of it, Din and Zeb would have not noticed that when coming into orbit, and probably would have that sort of thing. But the reason I bring us back to the snowy planet is because, like, months ago, I maybe you guys thought that the snow planet would be where, like, the story ends up.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're right into the action, right into a Shadow Council member that we've seen before, and we knock him down, and that introduces us to the movie. I thought that was awesome. I thought it was awesome when we saw it in the preview, and in the context of the rest of the movie, it's like a great sort of like from the show cold open action. First ever scene we ever see of the Mandalorian. He's walking in a bar, beats a bunch of people up, cuts a guy in half with a door. I think, and now we have Grogu involved as well. So I'll give the floor back up, but I thought the action was great. I think it was necessary for the movie. I think it made for a very tight movie to have as much action as it did. So
yeah, I mean, it was jam-packed with action sequences, if we're being honest. The only one that wasn't really actiony, and it's getting the most complaints for some reason, is the Grogu stuff by himself. And that's where we get the most character development with Grogu on Ron's shirt. But for some reason, I'm going to say something here, chat. Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Come on.
Attention spans have gone out the window. And it's almost like as soon as the action stopped, the complaints began. So as soon as Grogu has to be on his own and talks to an old lizard dude, and there's not fighting, punching, or blasting for about 5 minutes, then the complaints come on board. And granted, we live in this world of very short-term attention spans with TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and all that great stuff. But when it comes to a movie, character development and arcs are kind of necessary to have a film. So if it was just action-packed for the entire 2 hours and 12 minutes with zero dialogue, maybe some people would be satisfied. I personally would not be. I think it is a big issue where the one bit of character development we got for Grogu in this film is the biggest complaint online for this film.
Well, and that's what I was getting at, because you and I had talked about that people were complaining that it could have been shorter, it could have cut 10 or 20 minutes out, and we're like, well, where? And I'm guessing that's the spot. But like you said, that's the character development of this character that is going to be carrying Star Wars for the next few years, and maybe the next decade, because we have 900 or 850 years with him. So I think
or we hope we do.
Yeah. Well, the whole setup of this movie, even though Din Djarin didn't die, the whole setup of this movie is that Din Djarin will die, and probably very soon, and Grogu's going to live a lot longer than him, and he's got to teach him all he can now before he's gone. Like, that's the whole point of this film, is Din Djarin gets bitten by the dragon snake, and Grogu has to do what he can to keep Din Djarin alive. And then we realize, oh crap, Grogu is not ready to live on his own yet. So we're going to have to get some, more story with these two characters. And by the end of the film, he's teaching him to fly the Razor Crest. And Grogu's just taking a giant leap in responsibility in these 2 hours and 12 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and the part where he's like being all tranquil and he's meditating, and Din is down, and obviously that's the part that people are complaining about too. To me, I love that part because it reminds me of all of those like YouTube videos of like the chill music, and you see like Grogu and have background chill music, some that like Disney and Star Wars put out, or some like lo-fi stuff. And that's what it reminds me of. I was like, oh, I felt like they took a page from the lo-fi book that to me, it was like they did it intentionally because Disney was losing so much money. Not losing, but they weren't making as much from all of these people making lo-fi and Star Wars themed. So then they started doing it.
Yeah.
And then when it was in the movie, I was like, I know what you're doing. I get that. And so I think maybe people don't realize that because I'm a lo-fi nerd. So I don't know.
Well, you're exactly right. And I love the lo-fi stuff as well. But I mean, and I think we all thought it, but Mike always talked about it. The score in this movie is perfect. I mean, I love John Williams stuff. We always will. But Ludwig did a great job with this. The spacey, goofy music that was coming in, I mean, the stuff, like you said, the tranquil stuff when Grogu's doing his thing, and he's making that hut, which looks just like Yoda's hut, may I say. Yeah. But, while he was making that, all of the music in this just adds to it, just like John Williams has in the movies. And I just thought he did a great job. Ludwig did a great job with this. And Mike's been saying that for the last few weeks, but coming in and listening through the whole thing and being able to, again, each time I'm looking and picking up something different. And I think I told you guys, and, I explained to Mike what I thought. The first time I went and saw it, it was okay. I was like, all right. But what I was doing as we've been talking about this for over a year and making predictions and talking about who might live and who might die, for me, I was like trying to figure out what's going on. And when he calls for, Rada, and he says, hey, I called the gun runner and he's going to come pick you up. I'm like, okay, who is it? Is it going to be Hondo? Is it, who's going to be there? I'm waiting for somebody to appear. And then when he didn't, it was okay. We went on and kept going on. When I went and saw it the second time, I mean, it was just for me, when I went and saw it the second time, I mean, it was just that's what I want, not the no one.
Scared me. I was like, what was that?
Yeah. That's
God, please, no.
Michael Scott, no, the wrong one. Joe Rogan, because it was so good. It really is. It's an action adventure movie like Star Wars is, with character development, with space battles, with explosions, with gunfights, all these different things. And that's what Star Wars has been about. And everybody coming into this, I think the negative reviews are only about this many, but they're becoming just explosive in reference to this. Those are the ones that people are paying attention to. Because again, the good stuff, people don't care about the good things. They want to hear about the bad things. And that's what I think stinks about this, because this movie was done so well. And it's took me back to when I was a kid watching Star Wars in the movies the first time. And I talked to these guys, and I'm going to bring this up because it's 24 seconds long. And some of you guys will know who this is. Some of you guys won't. But I thought this was a great example of how Star Wars is defined. And this was from 1977. There was two movie critics called Siskel and Ebert, and they would do movies each week. And it was really cool. They would, go back and forth. And that's where the 2 thumbs up came from. One would give it a thumbs up, and the other one, they would get 2 thumbs up for that movie. But this explanation, I think, is fantastic, what he says about this movie.
And what's the meaning of it all? Who knows and who cares? Star Wars became the new box office champion by providing pure 100% escapist entertainment. It's one of those rare movies that seems to play to every sort of audience, Gene, and bring out the kid in all of us. Maybe that's why people can see it a dozen times or 24 times, because it doesn't matter that you know the story. You still have the sound and light, the effects, the explosions, the dogfight in outer space. It's just a never-ending visual delight.
I mean, that was from 1977. Exactly.
Yeah,
You know,
you can watch it. You can. It's almost describing the Mandalorian Grogu. You can watch that movie 1,000 times. It doesn't matter how it ends. You know how it ends because you've seen it before. But it's just action-packed dogfights in space, the hand-to-hand combat, the Embo versus Din, the hut-on-hut violence. Like there's just action the entire way, and that's so spot on for a movie that came out 49 years ago to a movie that came out last weekend.
I did call on Mike's podcast that Rada was going to take out the twins, but
There you go.
a lot of people made that one. So I mean, I made a lot of predictions. So
Yeah.
well, and that's the thing. I think a lot of us figured that the Huts would go down, at least the twins.
Twin Huts, yeah.
You know, for sure, and which was cool. And I thought it was a cool action scene as well. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was just going to say, which people are not really grasping the actual significance of that. The Huts, the Hut clan, when you go on the galaxy map, the official galaxy map, there's the core, there's the mid rim, the outer rim, the unknown region. There's a region on that map called Hut Space. The Huts are gone now. They've been ruling the underworld for 25,000 years, and now they're gone. Like that is such a massive thing in the Star Wars timeline, in the Star Wars franchise, that people just are not wrapping their heads around for some reason. That the Huts, not just the twin Huts, but all the other Huts in that palace, and Rada is the heir to that throne, but he doesn't want anything to do with it. All the Huts, for the most part, that have a claim to any throne are dead now, and they don't control the underworld. That's huge for Boba Fett on Tatooine. That's huge for Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Outer Rim. That's huge for everybody because there's literally a Hut space in the galaxy, and that is now wide open. Huge power vacuum. Like nobody is talking about how important this movie is. They're just saying, oh, there was no Thrawn, so whoop-de-woo. Palpatine didn't return again. Whoop-de-woo. This is very important. Just because he doesn't have a lightsaber, just because he's a giant green slug and his sister, they're dead. And that's enormous.
Yeah. And like you said, he is the heir to that. So does he have anything to do with that in the future? We don't know. But there's
I think he's going to play a big role in the future. I think he's going to play a huge role in the Rebel Force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he
and
could be in
the
Ahsoka
character development. I love the character development with him. I thought that was cool to see, you know, again, how he was treated, where he came from, you know, from when we saw him, you know, as Stinky, you know, to now Rada after his father's been killed and his, you know, kin have taken over the spot and want him killed now for, you know, so that they don't have to worry about him coming back. But the character development for Rada was fantastic, and I thought they did a great job with that as well. You know, people were bitching about CGI and stuff like that. I mean, how much better do you want them to make a big green slug?
Yeah. It looks great. I was looking so intently on my second viewing for like a terrible CGI sequence or scene or anything. I was looking at Rada pretty much the entire movie. Sorry, I almost said Jabba. He looks like his dad. No. And I couldn't find a single one. Like that, they did the Huts so well. Well, not just the Huts, Zeb and all the other CGI monsters. Obviously, the puppets too, with the Anzellans and Grogu. But to Ron's point, Rada did have massive character development, and we were talking about this before the movie came out that Rada will have a way bigger role than we could possibly imagine in this film. But it's the Grogu effect. Grogu is not in any marketing for season 1 of The Mandalorian. He's a main character. Now, granted, we did know Stinky was coming, but he's a main character of the movie. We didn't know that. You could pretty much call this movie The Mandalorian and Grogu and Rada the Hutt. Like, that's how important he is. And we just didn't see it coming.
I actually thought Rada looked a lot like the first Jabba in the special editions. You know, like not Return of the Jedi Jabba, but when they did
A New Hope,
New Hope special edition, and he looks kind of different than Return of the Jedi. I don't know if that was intentional, but he looks kind of like very similar, which I thought was a nice touch. Obviously jacked and not, you know, but yeah, I agree. I actually, you know, we could probably get into this later, but in terms of like character development, I feel like Rada was kind of like the only one, him and Grogu. Like Grogu's is more about like, I took it the other way, that what you were saying, that like he's not there yet, but he can help take care of Din now, right? Like he's not just total dependent, right? It's a step in the direction of he's got some training to do. Din's not going to be around forever, but he kind of saved everything, right, on his own.
Yeah.
I don't think we were planning on a cool, like, how long was it? 10 minutes of just Grogu, no talking, just doing stuff, right? And him and the Anzellans, like, that was great. I don't know why anybody has any problems with that, but
yeah, that was awesome.
I think that's a big. Obviously, he's not talking. We don't learn about his history. We don't learn about his motivations. We already know his motivations are his dad. But I think him doing all that stuff is a big form of development because he's not as dependent anymore, and has some training to do. But Rada, man, like, I took away from the movie, like, okay, lasting effects. Rada's now with the New Republic, probably pretty connected at this point.
Yeah.
Right, can help out. Interesting dynamic there. And then, like you said, Hutts are gone. I don't know if there are any Hutts stationed anywhere else, like how Jabba was stationed at Tatooine. But if now Hutta just got blown up, what happens there? And I agree with you guys. It kind of sets the table for what comes next. But I love how Rada, people like us know that he's stinky from from his origin, and then, like, see him in the gladiator pit and see him say, like, man, I'm out of here. I'm doing my last fight and I'm done. And then he comes around to, I want to volunteer. Like, he could go do whatever he wanted, and he wants to volunteer to do what they're doing. So I thought that was a great arc for him.
I like Holly's take, Rada and Ahsoka season 2.
Oh, I hope so.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be cool.
I think wherever we get New Republic stuff, kind of like how we see Teva, like that sort of thing, I think Rada will be as frequent as Zeb at this point.
Yeah, I hope so. I was very similar to that. I think he won't play a big role in Ahsoka season 2, but we know Zeb does. But I think his appearance in Ahsoka season 2 will sort of be like Zeb's in Mando season 3. Like, it'll just be sort of a cameo, brief appearance, but just showing you that he's there and involved. So. And we did see Carson Teva in this movie. Nick brought up Carson Teva.
Saw Dave Filoni too.
Trapper Wolf, of course. Yeah. and a lot of others. Like Doug Chang played a character. Deborah Chow came back.
Yeah, the whole table of pilots is all directors from Disney Plus shows.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Which is cool. I like that.
Well, and I think that shows the community as well, that they want to be involved in that. Or John was like, hey, listen, why don't you guys come in here and jump in the pilot seat for a minute?
Exactly.
So I thought that was really cool that was able to come to fruition. And like you said, it's like a family that's coming together and just hanging out doing this movie together. And I'm sure there was probably, people were giving their little 2 cents and stuff like that and checking it out and enjoyed that. But to have all that talent just sitting there was pretty cool. And people don't realize that either. Like Mike was saying earlier about how the whole Hutt thing, people aren't realizing that. But all of those people, like you said, Nick, just sitting in there and that at that whole table there was just like that's like the who's who of directors and stuff for the new Disney Plus stuff for Star Wars, which was awesome, I thought.
It's very Star Warsian too. Like, George put himself in Revenge of the Sith. Nick Gillard is in a movie. I forget which movie, but he's a background character. He's the guy who did all the choreography of the fights and everything. They've done it so much in Star Wars with either people on set or directors or whatever being actually in the movies. So.
George Lucas's kid is the little Jedi kid that gets murdered in front of Bail Organa. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Papa Boz, hang on to that question. We'll get to that in a little bit for sure.
Yeah. So we talked about the action in the movie, but I think the thing I loved probably the most was that I never felt like I was on the edge of my seat waiting, like that feeling where most Star Wars movie you're like, something's gonna happen. The whole movie was just fun and exciting, and like, there were parts where I was like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen. Like, could Din die right here? But I never felt like I didn't have that almost like anxiety anticipation waiting for something just absolutely horrible. I felt like it was an episode of Mando because it really was. And I love that about the movie. And that's, that's some of the complaints people are getting, but I'm like, that's exactly what they were going for. You understand that, right? Like,
Derek, you just nailed it. And I think that plays to like maybe what our first viewings felt like versus second, where you have to like judge and review the movie on what it's trying to be, not what we want it to be. And Mando and Grogu is, in my opinion, you guys, push back if you want, is trying to be just a Mandalorian and Grogu sick Star Wars adventure, right? Like it's trying to be whatever you want to call it, a few good episodes of The Mandalorian. That's what it is. It doesn't impact you. You can not watch Mandalorian. You can, it's not really stepping on Ahsoka. I mean, if we're being real, the only big picture lore thing is the Hutt thing Mike talked about. Rada joining the New Republic. We never see him again in the sequels anyway, whatever. But like, it's isolated and it's fun and it's awesome. But I think we're so used to like wanting to connect dots that like once that initial thing is over, it's like, okay, now I can view this for what it actually is and what it's trying to do. And it wants you to have a blockbuster Star Wars time. And I think that's how it should be reviewed. I don't know, like, that it needs to get put into all these like comparison game, all this kind of stuff. It's kind of its own thing. And it sounds like that's what Favreau and Filoni's whole point was, for it to be its own thing.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of to your point, like it doesn't have to be the greatest thing to ever exist. It doesn't have to be Grogu, Din Djarin are the chosen one, the next Anakin. Like it doesn't always have to just one up itself in the next movie. You look at a project like Rebels or The Bad Batch, any of that, like there is with Project Necromancer in The Bad Batch, with in Rebels, I guess, with Grand Admiral Thrawn and what happens beyond that. Those stories are very much standalone stories, and they're contained within new characters, and they don't really affect everything else. They do a little bit, just like this movie, the Hutts and all that affects everything else, but it's just these characters in a great story in Star Wars. Same can be said about Rogue One, Solo, I guess. I mean, just because it's Han Solo doesn't mean it's like has to be this big thing. It's a contained story in and of itself, the underworld, the Crimson Dawn. I think the problem becomes people are waiting for every single project to be as important as The Empire Strikes Back or A New Hope, when that's just not the case. Yes, there are important things that affect other things, like the Hutts dying, but Star Wars has been like this for forever. And Derek brought it up, so I'll talk about it too. It feels like multiple episodes. I don't know how that's being spun in a bad way. What did you want it to feel like? A different show, a completely different story.
That was my thing. It was like, I think some people were expecting it to be the typical Star Wars trilogy of like this is affecting the whole galaxy, which yes, it is affecting it. But at the end of the day, this is the lowest entry to get into Star Wars. And to me, this is it's more important of a movie because of that. Because great example, I was with some people Friday night and they were about to go the next day and take their kids who have never seen Star Wars. And they were like, they know Grogu because of, marketing. And they were like, well, is it going to be really hard for us to follow, especially them? Like, no, not at all. So then I followed up with them and they were like, the kids were obsessed with the movie the whole time and they knew nothing about Star Wars. And to me, that is so much more important than getting Palpatine or than getting Vader, like getting these massive characters. Now, would I like to have seen somebody different? Maybe, but the fact that they didn't tells a lot more of the story than them doing it.
Well, and did you guys notice in the scheme of how big or important the movie is? Did you notice that, if I recall correctly, we never leave ever whatever is immediately happening for them? There's no going off to a different scene with other characters developing. Like the whole
just
shebang
Grogu.
is literally whatever they're doing, that's where the movie is.
Yep.
Even less so or more so than the show. Like the show, we go off in different places at different times and episodes, but
Yep.
And I think that's exactly what it needed. I think like Derek, you just said, nailed it. I actually am putting it on the list for entry points into Star Wars, gateway drugs. You know, the tip of the iceberg for entry point might be A New Hope for me still, but like I've been recommending Rogue One as people's entry point. Mando Grogu's right up there, I think, with like low stakes. See if you like it, you will, and now you have. I don't know where I would tell people to go from there, you know, but
you go watch the first 3 seasons. To that point, though, I agree with you. I think you're going to see, and maybe it takes however many years like the prequels did, but this is very much going to be the next generation of Star Wars fans' entry point, and a great one. Because if you're a kid watching this movie, you're going to love it. Like Derek just said, those kids loved this movie. You're going to love the Anzellans. You're going to love Grogu. You're going to love Rada. Like everything in that movie is for a new generation of fans to absolutely fall in love with, and then introduce them into the rest of the Star Wars universe. So, yeah, New Hope is great. You have the comedic relief of R2 and C-3PO. You have Chewbacca, who's a fun character. You have Vader, who's a fun villain. Even Rogue One, I guess that would be for kids. They all die. But this is a great entry point to the Star Wars fandom for a younger audience, for a new generation of Star Wars fans. Probably the best one.
Yeah. Well, and Nathan, I'm going to agree with you. And Mike sort of looked at me funny when I said this to him the other day, but I was like, this is, for me, after that second watching, I was like, this is an awesome movie. And I really enjoyed the action throughout the whole thing. You know, we still got some cool little Easter eggs with it, but it made character development on 2 characters that were main characters in this movie with Rada and, you know, with Grogu. But it made that character.
He's on your shirt, Ron. Ron, he's on your shirt.
Damn it, I gotta look down again. Doesn't say his name though.
Where's his wave? Come on, man. You're slacking.
But it was just such a great movie, and to watch over and over and over again.
There we go.
Thank you. There it is. The fact that wasn't until the end of the movie was throwing me off.
I was wondering if it just wasn't going to come in.
Yeah.
I was like,
Well, speaking of deleted scenes, have you guys seen the screenshot with IG-11?
No.
Ron, you have that? Oh, you don't have it? I'm going to send it to you right now. So there's a deleted scene on Din Djarin's homestead on Navarro where it's Din standing next to behind the scenes Rada, which is hilarious. It's this blow up. I'll send it to you right now. But it's Din standing next to Rada, standing next to Grogu, and they're talking to IG-11. IG-11's right there in front of them. And Taika Waititi is credited at the end of the movie. So there's deleted scenes there, and a lot of them. There's another image. I'll send you both, actually, Ron. There's another one where Din's riding some creature into Nal Hutta, which never happened in the movie. So there's a couple deleted scenes going on there. Maybe they'll be added to the movie for like the Blu-ray or maybe the Disney Plus release or something. I'm sure it's not going to change the events of the movie, obviously, but it's still pretty cool. But we didn't see IG-11. We didn't get a mention of Grief Karga. Carl Weathers' character. We got the tribute to him with the writing on the wall, but we didn't get a mention of his character at all. So they kept him alive, at least for now. Where are these images? Somebody else talk. Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to look them up as well. Oh, is that the one? Yeah, with the blow up Jabba.
Found it.
I think I might have the one.
Where's the other one? I may not have saved the other one. I'll just send you this one.
That's just.
I agree, Max Rebo. Special edition's definitely in the works. I mean, I honestly think that'll come out, probably when it comes to Disney Plus.
I hope so, because they're not going to be like crazy scenes that change anything. There it is. So it's Din, Rada, and IG-11. The behind the scenes Rada is awesome.
I have to have that. Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Dad's calling.
Dad's
Dad. Blow up Java sounds inappropriate.
Yeah.
I need that. Oh my gosh, that needs to be my Halloween costume. And by Halloween, I mean every day. Just gonna wear
But it's
it to
just funny
work.
that, like, I assume that scene must have been like maybe before the Anzellans show up, and Din's like, I want to soup out my new Razor Crest, and that he's like, oh, I'll call in the Marshal of Navarro, and then he talks to him, and then he's like, oh, call in the Anzellans. He's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, let's
But
back up.
it's just kind of strange that they deleted this. I don't know why they do that. Maybe runtime, maybe it felt a little off. I don't know. Why is that so comically large? Like that thing that he's like the action thing, like it's enormous.
Is he just standing a lot
And there-
closer?
No, it's huge. Look at his hand on the top of it.
Jeez.
It also, is Rada missing an arm on one side? Like, what was going on here?
He's got a hand.
There's
It's
one.
detached.
Oh, it's okay. It's
He's
just
like
the
a
middle
he's like a
part.
wee character. He's a me. He's a wee character.
I'll see him go bowling.
Yeah.
That's
But it's pretty great. There's another behind the scenes one of Din and Rada in the gladiator ring, and it's when Din has defeated Rada, but then he yields. So it's just a guy, I think it's a guy on his knees, and he's got this massive blow up Jabba head or Rada head on. It's really funny. But yeah, we haven't even talked about the gladiator fight yet. The giant Dejeric match with all the creatures from the hollow chest. That was
So
awesome.
good.
Way better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah.
I knew we were getting that. Obviously, it's in the trailers. But when Rada throws the creature at the ray shield stuff and destroys it, and then they just start attacking the civilians,
Yeah.
like that was crazy.
Well, that I wrote that down as like in my favorite parts of the movie. I feel like this whole movie was like way more creature and alien forward than we've maybe ever seen in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like lots of aliens, lots of creatures, lots of like interesting, whether it was CGI or stop motion or whatever, like kind of constantly. And I loved that.
Yeah.
Made it kind of, I always love when you feel like the world's a little bigger. So,
Yeah, well, and I think it was really cool. Speaking about the Dejeric game, when the one picks up, and I don't know what their names are, what species they are, but the one bigger one picks up the one with the hammer and throws it down and smashes it. That's exactly from when Chewbacca and R2D2 were playing that game, which was
Yeah.
cool too. And I heard Mike talk about C-3PO. D'Anthony Daniels is actually his voice is in the movie. Which is pretty cool as well, so they're throwing all these little Easter eggs in, and I think there'll probably be some more. And I know, Mike, you were working on your short, and how hard is that, without having the movie to watch and go back and forth on. So I think we're gonna get some more things as we go along, which will be pretty cool.
Well, there's 1,000,001 Easter eggs and references in this movie. So my breakdown video, I'm still working on it, is over 30 minutes long, which is insane. But yes, Anthony Daniels is the voice of the droid dispatcher that allows them to land on Nal Hutta. And then Sam Witwer is the voice of a snowtrooper in the first opening sequence on the snowy planet, who like calls in that they need reinforcements or something. Like he's one of those snowtroopers. So there's a lot of those very small, like I've been seeing the complaint that this is very much for the normie fans and there's not a lot for the hardcore fans. You just got to dive a little deeper. There's a lot of crazy Easter eggs in this movie that more and more will come up. Like we're still getting Easter eggs from the original trilogy today, 49 years later. So it's like we're going to be finding stuff in this movie for a long time. Some people think that R2-D2 is in this movie. And at first I was like, there's absolutely no way. And then I saw the picture and I was like, might be R2-D2.
Is it when he's coming out of the X-Wing?
Yeah, so in the background on the Adelphi base, there's a droid being put or taken in or out of the X-Wing, and it's blue. It's 100% white and blue like R2-D2. There's a bunch of other R2 units on the base, and they're different colors. There's red ones, there's whatever, but that one is white and blue, so it could be our R2-D2.
Yeah, I like how Nathan mentioned Shakara as literally Chicago. When I saw it, I was like, Chicago.
Yeah.
Being born and raised in Illinois, I'm not from Chicago, but even still, like, you have a
Yeah.
pretty darn good idea. And I was like, whoa, that's definitely Chicago.
Yeah.
There was another comment. Oh, Mandalorian's M36. Colonel Ward mentions that they get Razor Crest from Commandment. Could that Commandment or Commandant, sorry, they mentioned be Commandant Hux? I don't know, and I don't know that we're gonna find out where they came from. I think the important part was the way that they spun it, because we all thought it was going to be like he was going to get it from, we all, no one was even close on how he was going to get it, and they just slipped it in so quick that because it was so important to him to get that ship again, that she knew he would do almost anything.
Yeah.
There you go.
And we exited the movie with the N1 and the Razor Crest still
intact.
in
Yeah.
Gotta love that.
I would throw out there that like that's another maybe like small big picture thing moving forward, at least that the New Republic is actually knocking down Shadow Council members.
Yes.
But I think like you said, Derek, whoever had the Razor Crest is probably like not important for us anymore. Like get the Razor Crest, and then it sounds like John O'Coin is not important for us anymore. Right? Sigourney Weaver comes out and goes like, "Oh yeah."
But what I think is important is the fact that that other ship is still intact, which to me says that Grogu is going to be the pilot of that ship, which is perfect.
That would be awesome.
So
he was just teaching Grogu how to fly. Why not put him in a smaller? It's gonna be awesome.
I'm trying to find, because I remember when the Mandalorian first came out, people were talking about, because he had a Razor Crest before it blew up, that there's a Razor Crest at Maz's castle in The Force Awakens, in like the background of where the Millennium Falcon landed. So I was trying to find a picture of it to see if it because once it blew up, they were like, okay, that's out of the picture, but maybe it's back in the picture now, and maybe Din and Grogu are at Maz's castle during The Force Awakens. But either way, that would just be a cool little, little tie-in, like how the two guys who mess with Luke at the bar and the cantina are in Rogue One. Like just little things like that are interconnecting all these different projects. But him having the M1 Starfighter still intact was great. When Embo comes in, and we haven't even talked about Embo yet. There's so much to talk about with this movie. When Embo comes in to the Djarin homestead, and he plants the device that captures him, and he gets distracted by the Anzellans. I was very concerned that he was going to blow up the N1 Starfighter in that scene. However, can we talk about as the cool kids call it now, the aura farming of Embo in this movie? Like he comes in and he's just like in the rain, just like, then he climbs up on the roof, and then like
that was cool to see his POV on that, his perspective, just running down and jumping up on the roof like that. That was pretty cool. And
never done that in a Star Wars movie before, by the way.
Really? Never the POV shot?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, you're probably right. I can't think of any. That's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Another cool sort of continuity thing is Embo's dog creature. His name is Kibu, I believe, in this movie, because it's not Marok, because Marok died in the Aftermath novels, so they had to keep the continuity there. So that's another like
Kibu. It sounds like my next dog's name. Perfect. What a good dog name.
Well, and I've always, so there's two examples of this. There's probably examples elsewhere, but Embo and Zeb moved in live action the way they move in animation.
Yes.
And it looked great.
Yeah.
And that's something I always kind of like, I don't worry about it, but I wonder like, how are they going to, it's an animation, you can kind of get away with a lot. But Embo and Zeb moved great in this movie and like consistent with kind of the vibe and the aura or Mike's new word, aura. That
wait.
Like,
Aura Farm.
Yeah.
This is new
coming
Star
through
Wars
the ceiling and blocking blaster bolts with his hat and kind of rolling around and doing all the thing is like very Clone Wars Embo. And Zeb just haymakers with the staff jumping all over the place, like being that big is very Rebels, so I think they nailed it. Obviously you got the two best guys for the understanding of the job, kind of putting those characters in the live action and knowing what you're responsible for if you do that. But I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. And I would agree with you. Watching Zeb move with his feet is exactly like he does in Rebels, which I think was so cool. And Embo, it looked just like he came out of freaking animation, which was awesome. I thought they did a great job with both of them, and even with Rada, you know, again, it's like people bitching about the CGI. It's like, what do you expect? I mean, these are creatures that are being made up, and if you can't go in with your head canon and make that okay, you know, I just don't understand.
You could give the argument that they did spend $160 million.
Yeah.
Like, it better be perfect.
Again,
but like, I loved it, so I'm just saying. I was trying to be devil's advocate.
After tax credits, $144 million.
Oh,
there you go. Yeah.
Also,
So
yeah. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, we're sitting here on a Wednesday after the premiere of a Star Wars movie. A Star Wars movie that has the highest audience score since the original trilogy. A Star Wars movie that made back its budget in its opening weekend. A Star Wars movie that is, for the most part, online. You look around and it's all positivity. It's all great reviews and people are loving the movie. They had a blast, whatever. It's all like we are living it up here as Star Wars fans. We're coming off the backs of the opening weekend of a Star Wars film that is just...
Well, people that haven't seen it really don't like it. Like, that's like if you go on Instagram and look
You're
at
not wrong.
No, for real. Like if you look at like Star Wars posts and stuff, it's all people who haven't seen the movie. Like, this is terrible, blah 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 blah, blah. And I'm like, well, did you watch it? Like,
that was a great impression.
Did you guys see that there was like an article where it was like why the Mandalorian and Grogu is a failure, and then the first sentence is like, now, full disclosure, I have not seen the movie yet.
It's so dumb.
That being said, it's like, dude,
dumb.
come on.
I don't get it. I don't get the crapping on something you've literally never seen. It's so wild. But
I'm also here to say, not our first time.
I was going to say 51 minutes. The Acolyte. We've been through this before. it 13% before it even came out on the freaking streaming service.
Right.
So it's crazy that people even, first of all, don't make their own opinion watching it themselves, but also just crap on something because they think that it's fun to crap on Star Wars, but don't even watch it. It's crazy.
I had a guy at my hockey tournament this weekend. We're sitting out in the parking lot and he was like, well, I'm an OG fan, so like I don't like that stuff. And I'm like, an OG fan, huh? And I'm like, I asked him a couple questions that completely discredited that. I'm like, dude, I've got all kinds of Star Wars toys. I'm on a Star Wars podcast. I have a sleeve of Star Wars tattoos. Shut up with the OG. I'm an OG fan. Get out of here. You're just a jerk.
Funny. To that point, though, like this movie is very much a direct sequel to the originals. Not specifically, I guess, to the first act of Return of the Jedi, but it's very much a sequel to those original trilogy movies. Even the show is the most original trilogy feeling thing since we've gotten since 1983. Like it's got the same feel. You even go back to the cantina on Tatooine. Like it has that sort of dirty underworld feel that the original Star Wars has had. And this movie continues that, but continues that and the story. Jabba the Hutt's dead. Now his heir and all of that goes down with that. It's you're watching a movie, the normal tropes of a prince who doesn't want the throne and an aunt and uncle who are trying to kill the prince because they want the throne. Like you've seen this in movies 1,000 times before. Replace that with giant green slugs, and then you have the Mandalorian Grogu. So it's the same, like Star Wars always does, takes tropes from all these different projects and movies in whatever, and you replace it with Star Wars creatures, and that's what this movie is. And it is a very much a direct sequel to the original trilogy.
And I think that like all of those things, all the critiques, like always comes back to, are you watching it for what it actually is? Because like no shit, anything that comes out after Empire is not going to be Empire. Like I don't know what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Like are we watching this exactly for what it is? Because I don't think you can say it's like a failure. I don't like that stuff. If you're watching it for exactly what it is, you know, Derek, dude, I don't know how I don't want to get into it.
Dude's 35 years old. Like you weren't alive when any of the OGs came out. Like shut up.
The strongest opinions in the world from people who don't put in the work, don't have the love for the game. But we welcome all Star Wars fans. We love to have
We
you.
do.
Thank you,
I
everybody,
want
for
some
being here.
haters in here. I want
Yeah.
some haters.
Yeah.
Serve me up a big old glass of haterade. I want to talk about it.
And Derek, they lecture you, and they test you, and they think they are.
Yeah, like I will bring my lightsaber to my next game and hit you with it.
Yeah.
All 9 of them, because I'm a nerd. All right.
Well, like you guys are saying, and that's it. It's the direct for me. It's the direct descendant of the OGs, because you have these Anzellans just running around with these little feet, and even Grogu, he's just running around with his little feet. I mean, they're puppets. People, take it for what it is. It's a great story. It was fun. It was entertaining. They did a great job for what they had in front of us, and the story was amazing. I thought they did a great job with the one-liners the Anzellans had were freaking
Big
fantastic.
pipe, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big pipe, huh? is my favorite line in the entire movie.
This chat is going off right now. I love it so much. You all are great tonight. But also, where is Mike's water jug?
No.
Yeah, I just saw Nick do it, and
where's it at?
It's my time to shine.
Oh my gosh!
All right, wait a minute.
Chopper asked if I saw the Anzellan ship at Star Wars. I don't think so. I probably passed it. I don't know. Yeah, let the hate flow through you. Well, I'm a Sith, so it's fine.
Yeah,
the Anzellans are so great.
The Anzellans stole the show. I mean, they had the one-liners, but if you had Grogu by himself, it would just be no speaking at all. So to have them be accompanying him and have the cool, funny, all that stuff in your get, like, this is the fan favorite characters here. These 4, it's like the Beatles. Maybe not as big as the Beatles, but
they're bigger.
They're bigger. But what's really funny about it is they come directly from The Rise of Skywalker, the sequel trilogy, Babu Frick. So it's a connection to the sequels. But now, when any fan comes across the sequel trilogy, they go, "Oh my God, it's the Anzellans, like from the Mandalorian Grogu movie." So again, you're already
they're fixing it. They are fixing it up. And now that you said the Beatles, I'm totally going to AI them to look like the Beatles. That's going to be my next shirt. Oh my gosh.
Crossing the Abbey Road.
Great. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There you
That's
go.
Awesome. All right. Well, it is time for one of our segments. Warning, not everyone survives the galaxy. It's time for Mic Drop, the segment where we predict who's getting eliminated, who's not making it out, and who might just have booked a one-way trip to the dark side.
It's a trap.
So,
okay.
Now, I know we're not killing anybody off, but I do want to talk about who died, who didn't die.
Yeah.
And that will be our mic drop tonight. And I think we all were on the same page with the Hutts, with the twins. And obviously that they did at the end get devoured by the snake, which I think they made it a purpose to see the snake coming up and over again with both of their huge worm-like bodies inside of the snake, saying, okay, these two are dead. So we're not bringing them back. They're not returning, anything like that. Now, again, there could be some other Hutts in different parts, but for the most part, I mean, Nal Hutta is their home world that just got blown up, their main base and everything else. So, but was there anything else that each one of you guys thought might happen or didn't happen in reference to this? My thing was Sigourney Weaver. I thought that she might do the he's got his pup. I thought Sigourney Weaver might do the Haldo thing and sacrifice herself, even though Haldo did do that and we wouldn't want to repeat that. I thought it would be something different. But that was my thing. I wasn't sure she made it through, and I wonder if we'll see her again in another Star Wars movie, which we possibly could, because she had a decent sized role in one of the speaking parts.
Yeah. And I just watched an interview earlier today of Sigourney Weaver talking about it in the press. Like, she's very happy to be in the Star Wars galaxy far, far away, and she's like very open to returning and coming back. Like, this could be a reoccurring character. like a Carson Teva or Rada. Obviously, Sigourney Weaver's a very big bill actress, but if we get another Mandoverse movie, a Dave Filoni's movie, like that character could show up time and time again. But I want to talk about, because we're talking mic drop here, the biggest elephant in the room, and that's Din Djarin lives. It was close. It was close. We were close. We were very close. He was not only, almost eaten by a dragon snake, but he was poisoned by the dragon snake and almost died. There's a reason that all those trailers were trying to make you think he was going to die, because that was a big part of the movie. But I'm not upset that he's still alive. I know people are like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
I was so mad. Oh my God. I left the theater.
The rage that filled Mike.
Yeah.
Why are you still alive?
It was devastating.
Hey,
but,
guys, check our chat real quick.
Which one?
Our phone chat.
Oh, our phone chat.
Be careful now.
No way.
We
You
don't
already did it?
Yeah, of
That
course.
was fast.
AI, man. That's not me.
That's true. Still good.
Well, I'll be able to bring that up in a second here.
Yeah, we'll get there. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but it was too good.
Nick, what's your thoughts on the mic drop?
I think we were all in agreement, like you said, about the Hutt twins. Knowing that they, from that little like teaser they put out, that they took his helmet. We didn't know if they like took it permanently or not, but that means they're gone, right? Yeah. I thought that there would be more, like, I guess, deaths, but we were also pretty, like we said before, we were pretty immediate with our cast.
I guess stormtroopers don't matter to this guy.
Well, I was just saying,
Good
like,
Lord, there was a lot of those that were gone.
there's a lot of
Androids.
deaths. Yeah, there was a lot of deaths, but it was a lot of like Star Wars bowling pin deaths. You know what I mean? And it was great.
Those are important people to some.
Yeah,
okay.
Nick is the type of guy to be like, the billions who died on the Death Star, they don't matter. They don't matter.
They're all the bad guys.
Hey, man,
Alderaan.
don't let the
we
big
care about
dog
those
off the leash with a ribeye in your pocket is all I have to say. But it's a great, hey Mike, if you're ever coaching your basketball kids, it's a great one-liner for trash talking. But anyway, I thought we would have like more time of all these like main cast members being together, which they weren't, and I think it's better that they weren't for the immediate story. In which case, I thought someone would go, but obviously they all kind of like came in at the end, sort of thing, and so I guess I didn't know who else would go and who they would touch. Like if they touched on Grief Karga, I assumed they would say he was dead, but they didn't. That sort of thing. When Kibu had the Anzellan in his mouth, I thought, no way are they going to kill an Anzellan like that on the screen.
Yeah.
I was like, they might do it.
The movie.
Yeah, they might do it. And then it turns out he's just like getting played around with.
I was wondering if it was going to be a porg situation with
Yeah.
Chewie eating a porg. And I was like,
Yeah.
I think that was the only time I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh, is he going to eat him?
I wasn't sure, like, I never thought Rada would die, but I wasn't like, at first I wasn't sure what Rada's deal was until I saw him playing with Grogu, and I'm like, we got him. Like he's,
Yeah, them on the beach was awesome.
yeah, it's like we got him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess because this might, I thought of this for something else we were talking about earlier, and I don't remember what it was in relation to, but I do think that not really knowing what we were getting into kind of like made me open to all the possibilities.
Yeah.
And therefore I had no idea who would die. I thought there was a strong chance Din could die going into the movie. But when it kind of happened that early, I thought we got to see like Grogu healing style here. But I like the way they did that it didn't just save him right then and there.
Yes.
I like that it like you kind of knew he was going to come back with the breathing and like Grogu taking care of him. But like, I'm glad they did it like that. And that didn't happen at the end and Grogu saves him and everything's fine. I'm glad it was like a thing that needed to be worked through.
Yeah. Well, and that was the part of the character development, and I thought they did a great job with that because, like you said, Grogu's like, "Oh, okay, cool. He got hurt. I'm gonna save him. I'm gonna force heal him." And well, wait a minute, I just healed you, and he's like shaking him, and and my heart's just like, oh my god, because this little guy's trying to wake his dad up, But they did such a great job, and then putting in that other character that all of us weren't sure what or who he was. He's just some fisher dude hanging out by the water. Which is so cool.
Love. Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
That too.
And then Embo comes in and we get to hear the story, and then that's when Grogu obviously figures out, oh, I guess he was poisoned, and they give him this stuff. But it was just such a great job that they did, and even when he gives them the antidote or whatever you want to, and he doesn't wake up right away, and he goes around and he just snuggles in his arm, just what a great job they did. And then also, like I said, building that character for Grogu to go on his own, continue to meditate like Luke showed him how to do. The whole stick thing, I thought that was cool. I thought that was, any of us, if we're wandering around, on mountains or anything like that by ourselves, and we see a stick, I'm going to grab it and help me walk, along the big tree that's fallen, when he goes to get the water, for Mando and himself, just anything that could help him along the way, and then, dealing with those little firefly things. And then that's where he runs into this other creature and obviously smells the fish and was able to get protein and nutrition to both of them to continue to survive. And what a great job they did with that to bring that, more of his character development for us, because like I said at the beginning, he's the future of Star Wars for the most part. Maybe not being a main character in everything that comes up, but he will be. I think we're going to see a bunch more of him in the future.
Yeah. You know what I thought was really cool, and I haven't heard a lot about this, is the Amani creatures. They were terrifying. Like, I know they didn't put up much of a fight, but like them moving around, I was like, and the last time we saw them really was Jedi?
Yeah, and Jedi, they just look like these, as most things do in the original trilogy, like background puppets. They look kind of goofy, but in this movie, they're made so, like you said, they're scary.
They were scary. And like, if I was a kid, I'd been like, whoa. I mean, as an adult, I was kind of like, whoa, after 3 beers. Gamorrean ales, if you will.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the part that I think was the most fun, because you had all of these little one-liners. You still have that fun Star Wars feel to this movie, like the Anzellans being able to push through these little one-liners as they're getting going on their ships, and talking to Grogu, and we'll be back, and those are the things too where when we all think, I'm sure we were probably all 50-50 whether Grogu was going to get on the ship with the Anzellans or he was going to stay back and help Din. But I thought it was cool how they make it out to, like that. So they show the Anzellan talking to Grogu saying, come on, we'll be back. They turn around and they sort of give you that feel that he is gonna get on. And then when he pops up, I thought they did a great job with that as well. He goes through, he saves, he kills everybody along the way. He passes out, and these bugs start to come up, and you're really not sure what's going on, the first time you see it. And then boom, here comes Grogu, eats that, which is awesome. And you're like, yeah, okay, he's here to save Din, and we're gonna keep going on this. And I thought they did a great job with that as well.
Well, have you guys all seen Logan, the X-Men movie Logan?
Yeah.
That's how Wolverine, or Logan, dies. Like, he is protecting the girl, a child, and he is fighting all these people, and then he is fighting to the death, and then he eventually does die. So that was very much what Din Djarin was doing. He's going through the woods, taking down these droids, and then eventually he collapses. And to me, it felt a lot like that. But the first time I watched it, maybe I was just being stupid, but I watched the ship go by, and I was like, Grogu's gone. Like, Din Djarin might actually die right now. And it wasn't until the scorpion got really close to his face where I was like, oh, Grogu stayed. I felt like an idiot. But they did a great job on that stuff, too. And Din sort of having this final stand type thing that at least I thought he could have died. But I guess I was going into the movie thinking that in the first place.
No.
I know we're on the mic drop, but I really think it's cool because Chopper said something as well. There's a whole bunch of people in here that sort of added on to what Derek said, that there's all these people that don't really know too much about this. Everybody is enjoying this movie, and you don't have to have watched the first 3 seasons. You don't have to have watched all of the movies and Clone Wars and all of these other things. You're able to go in and just watch this movie and have a good time and enjoy the action and the drama and the funniness about it and walk out and be able to talk about it. And then hopefully turn around and go, hey, you know what? I'm going to catch up on some more Star Wars stuff because I want to know a little bit more. This intrigued me. This really started clicking some buttons that this is a pretty cool galaxy movie genre, whatever you want to call it. And now people are going to continue to start exploring more Disney Plus, which I'll be interested in to see what of these shows start popping up again on Disney Plus to see, hey, and we know the Mandalorian will be probably for a little bit in Maul because it's brand new, but some of these other ones that are popping up, sort of like the Acolyte did, but just some of the ones maybe in the sequels, the Anzellans, like Mike said, you're going to start watching, oh, where'd these Anzellans come from? Or were these little goofy guys? So
yeah,
what it really reminded me of was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. That's what this movie felt like. It felt like a true Star Wars Indiana Jones movie where Indy survived. You had the other characters. There was important things that happened, but it didn't really affect the outcome of World War II. So and it just makes me so happy because I love Indiana Jones. Obviously, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. So
it'd be like much an Indiana Jones movie.
It'd be like if we didn't see if Skeleton Crew came before Ahsoka season 1.
Oh,
and we weren't like connecting the dots of like At-Atin is right next to Dathomir and Thrawn, all that kind of stuff. We would leave it going like, God, that was fun. Like that was great. And we wouldn't be worried about like, all right, so season 2, what's next? Like we'd be like, man, I want to see a season 2, and so that all that being said, there are things they can do with the movie if they want, right? Like into other stuff, but you don't have to, this is like greatest sort of like goal that they should have had, and they did, which is like, let's get people into Star Wars and let's give the Star Wars fans that are with us something to have fun with.
Well, so are we going to get more movies or are we going to get Din? Well, because Din's got to get mic'd at some point. And so like, is that going to happen in a series somewhere? Like, I don't think they're going to do another Mandalorian series, but
yeah, I think that this can still, like, we can't just watch this movie and go, they're definitely not going to make a trilogy. Just because it has a happy ending does not, I mean, A New Hope has a gold medal ceremony at the end of it. And then
Chewie.
Sure. And then The Phantom Menace has this big celebration at the end of it on Naboo too. Like those movies at the beginning of trilogies, and they have a happy ending that's a solid ending that could have been an ending to the trilogy. So just because it has a happy ending and an ending does not mean that it can't be the beginning of a trilogy. Just like we talked about with the giant sort of space where the Hutts lived is now up for grabs. You can have that lead into the next movie with Thrawn taking over that space and Ahsoka season 2 setting that up even more because Dave Filoni still is getting his movie. So it's likely that they won't kill Din Djarin off on the small screen. That's something that they'll reserve for the big screen.
Can I ask you guys a question on that?
No.
Sort of topic? Okay. So Favreau recently said that season 4 is in his desk.
Yeah.
Right? Of Mandalorian, that it was written and then they decided to do the movie. I don't know what actually happened. That's just what he said.
Yeah.
So like, is any part of this movie pulled from that season 4, or do you think season 4 is a different thing? Because I kind of came out of the movie going like, this would be kind of adjacent to Return of the Jedi. This would be sort of like the really cool setup first 3 to 4 episodes of a 8 to 10 episode Mando season 4 to kind of get us in, and now we kind of go this way, right? But I wonder, like, what maybe he's just spinning webs. I don't know, but he kind of went out of his way to say, like, dude, I have season 4. It's in my desk.
I think if they were going to do anything, it was season 4. This would have been part of season 4 that led into season 4 of Mando, Grogu, and Boba Fett. That's what I think, because they have the Hutts. So, like, why not use Boba Fett again?
I think this was, as Derek sort of just said too, this was a part of what season 4 would have been, because this is a direct also sequel to what happened with the Book of Boba Fett with the twins. So it's still a cohesive story if you're watching it on the Disney Plus shows. The problem is he wrote those season 4 scripts while filming season 3. And he's talked about that before, but that was before they ever knew they were doing a movie. So those scripts might just be completely thrown out. He has said that the 4th season would have tied more into the Shadow Council. Well, I guess this movie does too, but to Thrawn and what's happening in Ahsoka season 2. And the reason that they can't do that with this movie is because this is going to be many fans' first introduction to these characters. So for a season 4 of a show, you've assumed that the people have seen the first 3 seasons of the show. So you can do a lot more tying into things around it. So I think it is a portion of what season 4 would have been reworked into a movie, but all the Thrawn stuff being left out of it because, 1, it would be extremely confusing, and 2, we're getting it next year in Ahsoka season 2 as a continuation of what Ahsoka season 1 was.
Yeah. Well, and if you guys want, if you go to the extended version of the Sunday morning interview with John, he actually talks about that, which is actually really cool, because a lot of it had to do with the strike as well, because everything was just sort of going on. And then he talks about how Dave has a bigger vision, and that he had to do a couple things to maneuver around for Dave's bigger vision. And like Mike said, in reference to, having season 4, meaning you'd have to watch season 1, 2, and 3 for the most part. But he talks about that, like you said, he has it on his desk, but there is some things that he uses, but this was sort of restructured or structured in reference so that it would not mess up too much or go along with Dave's big stuff that's coming out, which I thought was really cool for him to talk about that.
So here's how I see it. And like you said, John saying that he needed to do some things in this movie so that the rest of Dave's plan would stay intact. It's the Shadow Council. Right now, we've seen, since season 3, Moff Gideon, Commander Barrow, which is the guy at the beginning of the movie, and Lord Janu, or Commander Coin. We've seen 3 of the, I think, 9 Shadow Council members. I forget how many there are. But 3 of the 9 die. Or, I guess, Lord Janu is still alive, but he's captured. 3 of the 9 Shadow Council members have been taken out of circulation. And of those people, and somebody in the chat can correct me, or you guys, if you remember, Moff Gideon was definitely a naysayer of Thrawn's return in that scene. But I believe Lord Janu was too, talking about the how Pelion and Hux were living it up like kings, while the other members were like having to struggle to survive, whatever. But those 3 characters, at least one of them, was extremely against Thrawn's return, and now they're gone. Now they're dead. So Thrawn's going to be walking into this situation where he's like, all the other Shadow Councils will be looking around being like, oh my God, we're dropping like flies. And now he's going to come in and be like, I have risen. Deadpool reference, my second Marvel reference of the day. But still, you're going to have Thrawn with this, not just the Hutt space, because we talked about that, but now with Shadow Council members dropping like flies to a Mandalorian, you're going to have a character who technically has some experience with Mandalorians, with Sabine, and but a character who's coming in as the heir to the Empire, this guy who has been talked about as this mystical being for the last 10 years because he's been in a different galaxy the whole time. You're going to have that character And hopefully that's what we're talking about here, because the Mandalorian and Grogu may be looked at completely differently in a couple of years when we see Dave's plan come to fruition. But when you see Din Djarin and Grogu take down 3 Shadow Council members, Thrawn's going to take that as a threat, which may be why Din Djarin dies. Mic drop.
There you go.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct on that. And that's what the fun thing about the Star Wars universe is, because all of these things are going to, at some point, we're going to get some answers for all of these things. But like I said, it was really cool just to go in and treat it like and not have to worry about the content creator in me at this point, because we've been talking about it and trying to figure things out, like everybody's said so far on this podcast, all 4 of us, where it's like you're trying to figure this and what's going to happen. And then, but if you go in and just watch this movie, it's awesome. It's got everything in it. It's got ups and downs. It's got action. It's got, there's the funny part of it. Even the beginning, when they're all sitting around, and the one Shadow Council member, and he's talking about this and that and the tribute and everything. And then all of a sudden, they're being attacked and he pulls out guns and he's throwing guns to everybody because he's on his way out, and the last thing he says is, long live the Empire, which again, those are funny things, because when Din walks in, they all drop their guns and point. They're not hesitating, so again, those are the really cool things, I think, with the storytelling that Dave and John and everybody's doing now is really cool. And they're still being able to bring this story to life without having to watch everything else beforehand. You're able to walk in this movie, watch it, enjoy it, understand what's going on, and have a good time, and leave talking about it, and hopefully wanting to watch some more Star Wars stuff.
And with all the connective pieces of the Shadow Council is not even mentioned until the second to last episode of Mando season 3. So it's a very new concept in terms of even the Mandoverse, because we got 2 seasons of Mando, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. No, Mando season 3 came out first. But either way, you've gone through 3 seasons of television and you haven't even mentioned this council of Imperials who are. You've gotten teases of Carson Teva saying that he thinks something bigger is happening in the Outer Rim, but it wasn't until just recently we got introduced to this Shadow Council and the bigger picture of the story.
Now, I'm wondering too, like, how many. I guess the main question for me is like, how many live action seasons of a series are we away from being able to just movie this whole thing? Does that make sense? Like, I feel we're Ahsoka season 2 and personally maybe 1 season of something away from being like trilogy time, whether that includes Mando and Grogu or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because I think it plays a little better to have the movies be maybe a more, I don't want to, deep is not the right word, but more contextualized version of the Mandalorian and Grogu with all that information, right?
Yeah.
So that you can, it's tight, but we don't need to like figure out the whole Shadow Council thing in a section of the movie. Like we can do it in Ahsoka season 2, maybe like 1 more season. But I think we're getting close to being able to hammer out like Mandoverse, Heir to the Empire movie time. I think we're getting close. I don't know how many, what you guys think, like how many seasons of something that would be. I think Ahsoka is going to make a pretty good dent if we're all correct on what's coming. But like, I still think, the reason I asked earlier is I still think Mando season 4 is like the ultimate bridge. Like Ahsoka 2 is probably the biggest bridge, but like the big question of what happens to the Mandalorians and where does that leave Din and Grogu? Where does that leave them? And more importantly, what they're baking up with what is probably going to become the Resistance, which is the Adelphi base folks and Leia, right? And where the break occurs in regard to like attitudes about the galaxy that allows the First Order to exist in the first place. And I think you could like have that all climax in a movie, but we still don't. I think we're still like Ahsoka season 2 and a season of something else, preferably like Mando season 4, Mandoverse style thing. But like what a great thing it would be for Mando and Grogu to like unknowingly open up a trilogy of movies, right? That aren't just Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just kind of ranted. I feel like there's the Dave movie is like Heir to the Empire adjacent. I doubt that there's only one, and I think in order to get there, we've got Ahsoka 2 and probably one more season of something else to go.
Yeah, no, what all you just said was absolutely right, because we can't walk into Dave Filoni's movie and they just plop Thrawn on our laps, like, because the same way they couldn't do it in The Mandalorian and Grogu, like they need to introduce us to that character, so it can't possibly be just one movie. And I agree with you that I honestly look at Ahsoka season 2 as, yes, we're getting a war in our Star Wars, and that's going to be great. Thrawn's going to be involved in that, but it's going to be an Ahsoka first show. So all the stuff on Peridea is going to come first, and by the end of the series, it's going to wrap up what Ahsoka is up to. It's not going to wrap up the main galaxy. It's going to wrap up what Ahsoka is up to. It's going to set up more of the main galaxy stuff, but I think one half of that story in our main galaxy is all going to be setting up Dave's movie, while the other half is the Ahsoka show. It's about Ahsoka. So, and that you'll get all of the, hopefully, Abeloth and the Mortis gods and all that great stuff. So I agree with you that we need another season, maybe Mando season 4, but that would be pretty confusing to go from season 3 to a movie to season 4. But Skeleton Crew season 2, Book of Boba Fett season 2, now with this massive gap in the underworld, Boba Fett is the most likely place you could dive into that, and you could have Din and Grogu in that season.
Yeah,
yet again.
Well, I agree though, but I think that's why this movie works so well. Is you don't have to include the movie in that, you know.
Yeah.
So what? Rada shows up and they say the Hutts are down bad, and we got to talk to Boba. Like, great, go watch the movie, but I don't think it interrupts nearly like at all compared to even the Mando stuff in Book of Boba Fett if you went from season 2 to season 3, right? Like this movie doesn't do that at all.
Yeah, I mean,
you just great about the movie.
Yeah, you just miss some character development for Grogu and Rada. That's just about it. And they could explain that the twins are gone, but for the most part, you got to assume that people have watched the movie, I guess, because more people will probably watch the movie than the show. But I think a Book of Boba Fett season 2 is not a bad idea either, because you can go down the maybe Kira and the Crimson Dawn are now going to try and take the place of the Hutt space, or maybe the Pikes will try and rise again. Like Boba Fett can be heavily involved in that, and the New Republic can be too, because they're going to want to stop. Like it's going to be chaos. Like the Hutts, although they may have been bad guys, they held control for 25,000 years. So now it's just going to be pure and utter chaos in the Outer Rim. And the New Republic has to deal with that. Boba Fett has to deal with that. Everybody's got to deal with that. And you can maybe even see Atten involved in all that too. And maybe a Skeleton Crew season 2 with Thrawn taking over Atten. I would love us to get Ahsoka season 2, maybe even before Dave's movie, Skeleton Crew season 2, then Dave's movie, then Book of Boba Fett season 2, because maybe Dave's movie doesn't have Din and Grogu in it, or Boba Fett. And then we get a Boba Fett season 2, like this is where they were, just like why Ahsoka and Hera and Ezra and those characters aren't in the Mando movie because they're going to be in Ahsoka season 2. Then maybe Dave's movie doesn't have Din and Grogu because they're doing doing Book of Boba Fett season 2. And then the third movie is everybody together.
Well, nice. They're not going to do this war small time, right? Like you're not going to, don't expect a one-off, big battle and we're done. Like it's going to ebb and flow. And so I'm going to shoot to the sequels real quick and come back to Heir of the Empire adjacent stuff. Like I don't have a huge problem with this. I like the idea that like the things we're used to in Star Wars don't work out. So when the Resistance calls for help and nobody comes, like I kind of like that subverts your expectations. Yes. Some people don't, whatever. Wouldn't it be pretty reasonable if the New Republic is blindsided as they are in Bloodline or in the Aftermath trilogy by the First Order within its own ranks or whatever the situation is, and that is sort of sparked by this whole Thrawn Heir to the Empire adjacent thing, and the hut space is up for grabs and the Mandalorians are back, maybe everybody who would help already did help and got decimated altogether in the process. So it doesn't make too bad a sense for everyone to be like, dude, not doing that again.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then finally get the message from the big guy, from the big dog, that he's going to burn the whole galaxy down, and they all go, all right, we're going to go one more time.
Yeah.
You know, like what would have to happen, they're not going to make this like a couple of battles. It's going to be a legit war. I think Clone Wars scale, but also in this weird way where like nobody kind of knows about it or believes it still. Like the New Republic doesn't take it seriously. Hello, Derek.
Hello. The dog had to go out.
Oh yeah. But like nobody believes it's going to happen right now, right? Except the eventual resistance, or except Dan and Grogu, maybe the Mandalorian. So I think it's going to like really pop off in a way that's not just a season finale. Like that's going to require, like you said, a kind of a systematic build, wins and losses for the heroes, wins and losses for the bad guys, and ultimately like knowing that it's kind of a loss for both parties, because we end up with a pacified New Republic and a resistance that kind of work separately, and the First Order's coming. Thrawn loses, but the First Order's, everyone has wins and losses there. So,
well, and this movie kind of proved why the Hutts weren't in Maul Shadow Lord. Like, because I would have put money on it, and maybe they'll have them in season 2, but I'm thinking not. Like, were they that unobtainable for him at that point? I don't know, but it's like, oh, we already know what we're doing with them and how that's going to play out. So like, what's going to happen with the next season of Shadow Lord, knowing obviously the timelines are different, but knowing that they're going to be gone.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting, Derek. Like, could it be the other way around than we predicted? Because we all predicted the Hutts would show up in Shadow Lord, at least by name or something, right? But is it now that like Mando teed them up, the twins up for Shadow Lord, because it did so well? Like
that would be
that'd be crazy.
That'd be so good.
Or Jabba,
Yeah.
Man,
it could. And what's weird about the Maul Shadow Lord not mentioning the Hutts at all is it's all about the criminal underworld. So is it like the Pikes, Crimson Dawn, and the Black Sun are all over here, and then the Hutts are just such a big entity that they can't even like scratch the surface on it? That could be the case, but I'd love to see the twin Hutts in animation. It would add more of a cohesiveness to the storyline with them too, and put them in different places. Or even Jabba would be great.
I think not having them in there was, oh, hey, we know that the movie they're gonna be heavy in this movie.
Yeah.
So I'm but I'm thinking
they did break the floor.
Yeah. So I think maybe they just didn't want to take the thunder away from the movie. I mean, they've got a plan. He's got this planned out for a decade.
Yeah, well, and like you guys were both talking about here a minute ago with the movies and live action, and we're going to get things to tie all these in. But when Dave's movies come out, we're going to have some character development in here, because there's going to be people that went and saw the Mandalorian and Grogu and have seen the other Star Wars movies, but they're not watching Disney Plus. They're not watching animation. So when Thrawn does get introduced, Mike, like you said, people are going to have to understand who he is. And I think we're going to get some of that, just like we did in this movie, where whether it's the opening, screenshots that talk about what's going on and what Din and Grogu are up to these days or whatever, but it's going to have to talk about, who Thrawn is and what's going on at this point, and some of these other characters that these other normie fans don't know about, or the movie fans are going to see this. So there's going to have to be some sort of explanation in there. And I think that's what's going to happen for that first movie with Dave, because I think we're going to get more new characters in there as well. But there's going to be characters like Bo-Katan that the normie fans or people in the movies have no idea who she is. And you're going to have to sort of figure out possibly, if Boba Fett's in there, how did he survive? Because the people that saw the movies, he's still dead to them. Just like we did with Maul. They talk about it explained what happened to Maul. So if you didn't watch the animated series, you don't know that how Maul came back to life, and now you do, because they explained that just a little bit. So I think we're good on the mic drop. We've talked about death.
One more.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Hog's breath.
Yes.
He's dead. So just that guy's gone.
Yeah.
And then right after that, he says, "I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold," which is
okay. Well, and that was one of the cool parts too that I really liked. Almost like that John Wick-esque thing when he's in the bar and Mandalorian walks in, and Hog's breath is just like, maybe you shouldn't be in this bar. Maybe you shouldn't do that. And then he kicks everybody's ass and turns around and just bam, takes a chunk out of his freaking hammer. I was just like,
and he drops the salt. He drops the salt
in his drink. Yeah. It's so good. But man, we're already an hour and 35 minutes into that, so you know what that means.
All right, chat, it's time for Jedi Chat Q&A. Drop your questions, theories, and the hottest Star Wars takes that you have. Let's see what the galaxy has for us tonight.
Well, the first
Who was that?
The first Q&A question is, how do we get a double-bladed lightsaber with blue and purple like on that graphic? That was pretty good.
Come on.
Before we go, though, we do have to actually, I want to do, before we do the Q&A, so you guys get your Q&As in, or get your questions in here. We'll ask them. Mainly, let's try to stick to Mandalorian and Grogu questions that you guys have had, or questions you're not sure of, or even questions about what we thought about the movie. I do want to show this. We had a really cool, and I know a lot of you guys were on here last week. We had a really cool time last week in Boston. We had Thalia there, the astrology Jedi, which was really cool. Mike and myself were there. Nick was over in the corner. So that was really fun to do that. And Derek,
I was working and playing
Derek
hockey.
was working, unfortunately.
Sorry that I'm the ugliest co-host now.
But
so sad.
Derek gets to do fun things like this.
That's so good.
So bad.
I love how they put the sitar around George's neck.
Yeah, right.
The goatee is so bad. It's in his mouth. It's so bad.
That's awesome.
I love it, though.
Oh, boy.
No, AI something.
What's up, John? John, the Boba Fett is in the house. I was on their show last week. We had a great time actually talking about the movie as well, which was really cool. If you haven't already, go over Sundays on Clan Fett and check out John and Brandon. They have a great show over there. Very informative. Just had a cool time with those guys. So appreciate you being on here. And actually, I'm gonna go to. I like his question, but let's do this one first.
Embo.
Yeah.
Embo.
I think Embo clears
All day.
Yeah.
Twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, that one's done. Sorry. This is a great question, John. I like it. Nick, you want to go take that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's learning. He's already experienced it. We've watched him experience it, but I want to see him learn how to regularly do what he did on the Seeing Stone and talk to other Force users, and then hear what that sounds like, looks like, whatever he's experiencing.
That's a great answer. I was going to say Force lightning, but now I'd look stupid. If he's just going like to a bunch of people, it would be pretty great.
I want to see him be able to talk to Force Ghost and like talk to Yoda.
Yeah, well, I guess Force Ghost needs a lot more explanation in Star Wars. He has so many abilities already. He's Force healing. He's Force choking. He's Force taming these creatures. Like he's already very, very powerful.
And I don't know. I guess it's learned, but it's also you're still using the Force when you do it. But I'm excited to see him hopefully get a lightsaber.
Yes,
I want to see him.
That was a question. Do we see him getting it again? I'm gonna say no.
I'm with you.
I don't
you guys
know.
don't think he'll get a lightsaber at all?
Well, I don't think he's going to get Yoda's lightsaber.
Yeah.
And if he gets one,
No, I don't think that.
I think that it will be a process of him building it, but I think it would be after the sequels.
Yeah. Well, I don't see him having any need to go build a lightsaber. At least maybe not until Din Djarin dies, when he needs to protect himself a little more or something. But it would be really crazy if he doesn't get a lightsaber until sort of Luke's temple falls and he senses the like Obi-Wan sensing Alderaan blowing up, like he senses the horrible event that just happened with Kylo Ren killing all of Luke's whatevers, and then he goes to the wreckage and maybe that's where he finds a lightsaber or something. Like that would be really cool.
Yeah. I just think it would also help the sequels if he doesn't have a lightsaber until after that timeline.
Yeah. I
Also,
just thought it was cool when Yoda first got his. That was just one of my favorite scenes. So I think it'll be cool just to watch this type of character or creature. How he's going to get it. Maybe he gets to go on a path where he gets to build his own, which I think would be pretty cool as well, because we're still not sure if maybe we are. I think a lot of us think that he's going to be that hybrid type of Jedi / Mandalorian once we get more into the further years for him, because I mean we're halfway to where he's possibly teaching Jedi, so in 100 years Yoda was teaching Jedi, so he's moving along pretty well. And I think once he continues to do this, being with the Mandalorian, that the scaredness or the fearfulness of using his powers is going to continue to go away, and he'll be more open to doing these things. And I think that's when we will possibly see that, because I think he's going to have to get a weapon at some point. And I don't know, maybe he'll have a blaster and a lightsaber.
What if he has the darksaber?
A new darksaber.
Yeah, they have to get a new darksaber.
It's fine. They'll rebuild it.
Yeah.
Maybe he rebuild. Oh, what if he rebuilds the darksaber?
That'd be crazy.
He is Mandalorian.
Well, it does beg the question, though, because he denied Luke. So we're assuming that he becomes Jedi, but that's just not the case. So it begs the question, what are the Jedi or Force users in general going to look like in the post-sequel world? Like, what's Rey's new Jedi Order going to look like? Is she going to have attachment? Probably not. But how does that even work? Like, where would Grogu even fit into all of that? We know Starfighter's coming and there's going to be lightsabers and that. So I think a lot of our questions may be answered, or maybe we'll have even more questions this time next year. But in terms of post-sequels, where does Grogu fit into that? Because I don't think he'll be joining Rey's new Jedi Order.
Nope, he better not.
Yeah, he'll be with the Mandalorians. So that doesn't really mean he needs a lightsaber, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think he needs to even be like Jedi just because he has the Force either.
Right.
I think we know he's a good dude. He'll probably have his struggles.
Dude.
Yeah, solid dude, 50 years old and kind of finding his way.
It's kind of a bro.
Yeah. And he I think it needs to kind of mean something that he didn't stay with Luke. Like that he doesn't just like go back. So there'd be like 2 in a row of like he leaves Din and then leaves Luke, and then this would be 3 in a row. Then he goes back again. But I'll put a bet on the table. I bet we will see him with one as like a sick, cruel joke. Like he'll be in something and there'll be like a quick flash of him igniting a lightsaber, and it just turns out to be like they found one, and he's like,
or like a red one.
Yeah, like
a red one.
And it will be similar to like the kids in Skeleton Crew or Jod having one in Skeleton Crew, where it's like not really a real thing, but we're meant to think it is. But I think it's more powerful and probably opens up more avenues if Grogu's just something else entirely.
Yeah.
Like not redoing the Mandalorian Jedi thing, all that kind of stuff. But
yeah. Yeah. If you're just joining us, we're doing Q&A. So we'd like to try to keep it right around Mandalorian and Grogu. So we're not here as much as we'd love to be here all night talking Star Wars. We got about 15 or 20 minutes and we'll listen and talk about some of these Mandalorian and Grogu questions. Shadow Council members, are we going to see more of them, and are more of them going to die?
They're gone.
We'll definitely see more of them in Ahsoka season 2 and in other stories after that. Will they die is a pretty great question. I mean, eventually they will. Before the sequels, they will. I don't know of any coming up recently that will. You got to look at it like Moff Gideon tried to make a force-sensitive clone army of himself, failed. He's gone. And now Thrawn's going to try and take over the whole galaxy. We know he's going to fail, and then he'll be gone. So eventually all the Shadow Council members will likely die. But we'll have to see.
I don't want Thrawn to die.
It'll be a while before that happens.
Definitely.
I think.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Nick's chat. Oh my God.
What?
Nick's chat with us. Oh my God.
So
Nick, what do you think?
I think that some of them will die at some point. I wonder what they wrap the Hux thing into, knowing that that's his dad and he's like a bigger deal than the one we get. I'm with Derek though. I actually don't think Thrawn's going to die. I think Thrawn is going to see that the most logical thing to do in whatever situation he's in is go find his people again.
Yep. I agree.
So I think he'll get defeated. I don't think he'll die.
All right. Interesting.
I think he'll have to go back because the Chists are going to come or something.
And that opens up post-sequel stuff.
Or the Grist or somebody. Yeah. Somebody's coming.
Yeah. I don't think our boy Timmy Z wrote 6 brand new books to restructure the canon on it for nothing.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well, I agree. I think the Grist will become a very important thing, probably post sequels, like you just mentioned. But eventually, it leads to Snoke. So maybe Thrawn sees that Palpatine's coming back, and he's like, "All right, I don't want any of this. I'm just gonna go back home and wait my turn or something." I don't know.
And as Derek said, he's got. How did you put it, Derek? He's just like misunderstood. He doesn't.
He's totally misunderstood. He's not like in a lot of the things. He's not even an evil guy.
If he came into the known galaxy and stuck around at the time of like the Jedi, he'd have joined them. You know, like he just wants to be on the winning team that can help him bring whatever that gives him to his situation, which is very vague and scary and mysterious. And I don't think they're going to kill him off and leave that gateway like untouched. But
true.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise they'd have done it in Rebels. They didn't have Ahsoka season 1 planned when they did Rebels. You know,
they could have killed him off.
They could have killed him then. They were writing those books then, though.
Yeah.
So.
True. How long before we think Grogu starts talking?
At this point, I have no idea. I thought he would have talked in this movie, but I don't know.
I'm saying another 50 years.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
I think he'll say something when Din dies or as Din's dying.
I mean, he's getting like little squeaks of words out, but like
I thought he said thank you in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, when was that? He says shh. But somebody like hands him something and he says thank you like early on in the film. I forget when it was, but it does sound like he's saying thank you or a baby equivalent to thank you.
True.
Yep.
He's not going to come out in a movie and just be like, "Hey guys, what's up?" Like he's not going to be speaking. Right. He's a baby. Babies don't speak sentences.
Well, I'm wondering like if he's hanging out with the Enzellans a lot too. Is he going to start sounding like them?
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Bad babe.
Right, man.
Yeah. Come start talking. Well, and that's going to be the thing, dude. They're going to have to nail that voice. They're gonna have to nail it, because if not, I mean, that'll just
I
the internet.
think it should
will
be
blow up
Ron's
on it.
voice. It should be this super deep voice. It's just
What do you
Ron.
mean?
This is the way.
This is the way.
Perfect. You're in. The newest
But,
Star Wars voice actor.
I saw John had another good question, I thought, or did I miss it? I don't know. He's a big Thrawn fan as well. What's going on, Tim? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, if you guys have questions, throw them up in here. What else? Sabine and Embo.
Sabine's not even good. I'm not a Sabine fan. I'm sorry.
I think she put up a good fight, but
Yeah, it's Sabine. I gotta disagree wholeheartedly. She's
Really?
got the Force, a lightsaber.
Okay.
She's a Mandalorian. She's wearing Beskar versus Embo. Come on,
well, that's
head
a good
chopped
point.
off. You know, she used the Force and do what she did in Ahsoka, where it just goes right through the thing's head, like right through.
Really have the Force though? Like, does she really?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Ish.
Trained by Kanan Jarrus and Ahsoka Tano, I'd take Sabine all day long.
I mean, you
I
can be
think-
trained by whoever you want. If you don't got it, you don't got it.
I think Din beat Sabine and Embo got the best of Din. So
I don't think Din's
I
Sabine
concur.
either.
What? Whoa!
dude,
Talking about okay, we just
Joke's
hang
over.
on. We just talked about a Mandalorian Jedi, Grogu, for like 2 hours now.
She is not Grogu.
No,
Okay.
but
Yeah, my
he
body.
has a good point.
She's a Mandalorian and a Jedi. I'm not saying she's Grogu power, but she still is a Mandalorian Jedi.
How much was she trained as a Mandalorian too? Like that's like she's like
Her
kinda
entire
half
life.
What
Yeah.
was she like? Okay.
She was born on Mandalore and trained her whole life to be a Mandalorian. That's why she's so
Okay.
stubborn and against the Jedi way.
But she's pretty young though. Like she's
And
I
Ahsoka,
just kind of feel like she's just been half-ass trained.
I also think to throw in there, like Embo's gonna like cheat too if he needs to. There's no honor amongst, that it's just get the job done. But
Turned out to be a way more heated question than I ever expected.
yeah, right.
Well, Mike changed my
funny.
mind. I definitely.
You're
now
talking about a
I'm more on
Mandalorian
the
Jedi
Sabine.
who wields the
Yeah.
Force and wields a
Yeah,
lightsaber.
Yeah.
She's being trained by, again, what's a
Nothing
Jedi
yet.
now? Grogu's not a Jedi. Ahsoka's not a Jedi. Sabine's not a Jedi. Ezra's not a Jedi. Who's a Jedi?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I just liked Sabine way more in Rebels than I do in Ahsoka.
I
But
think
I think it's by
Sabine-
intention. It's intentional. Like
yeah,
you're conflicted by her actions.
yeah.
And that's great. That's why I love this show.
I think Sabine was badass enough without the whole like, is she gonna do the Jedi thing or not?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
do think she was formidable enough, which I think maybe soured me on it a little bit. So maybe I'm not giving her a fair shake.
Well,
But-
I agree, but Ahsoka's the one who takes her on as her apprentice. Like the reason that doesn't happen in Rebels is because Ahsoka's not there. Ahsoka's
Yeah.
not even in the show anymore. So it's the final epilogue of Rebels is Ahsoka comes to get Sabine to go find, in that epilogue it's been changed, but to go find Ezra and go on this mission, sort of spiritual mission, and we know now we're master and apprentice for a little bit until Ahsoka couldn't handle it anymore. Well, I guess Sabine couldn't handle it either because her entire planet was turned to glass and she lost all of her family members. And that was, darkness and attachment.
Had she been a little bit stronger, maybe that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, she would have stopped the entire planet from turning to
But
glass.
she's a Jedi and a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
She stands on Mandalore and stops all the things that were coming down.
I mean,
Grogu could have
Grogu
done
could do it. Grogu could do it.
He could lift Rod of the Hut.
Yeah, see? She's not Grogu. That was actually
No,
good.
but she does. So it looks like she was roughly trained to be a Jedi between everybody for 5 to 6 years. So I mean, she's still got some power.
More than Luke.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, and I agree with Derek for somewhat for the Ahsoka series and for that good reason as well, because she does come off like a bitch. And it's like, okay, and then she steals the thing. I get it. You want to find Ezra, that's your brother, and But yeah, she comes off like, okay, she's snooty. Oh, I'm not going to go to this celebration. I'm going to outrun the cops. And then my old master comes back, and I'm stealing this map. F everybody. I'm in it for me and Ezra. So I totally get that, but I also feel like, sort of like Grogu, she hasn't been using her powers, so it doesn't matter until Ezra and Ahsoka start to help her train again, and she starts to get some of those things back. And she is a Mandalorian. I mean, she's a badass Mandalorian. If you watch Rebels, which we all have, she's a badass Mandalorian.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
I was
she's
trying to be funny. More
She's
than
flying
anything.
in with the jetpack and the dark saber on
The spray
Mandalore.
paint.
Like, come on.
I
I said I love Sabine in Rebels. I love how they made me not love her in Ahsoka.
Yeah. Well, I also I think I was unfair to her as well, because to me it was like, when has Ahsoka ever given up on anybody ever? But she did here. Like it did.
Well,
that was the one part of the series that I did not enjoy right away until they kind of worked on it.
Yeah. Well, that was the old reason for the World Between Worlds sequence is to be so scared that she's the next Vader, or she's going to train the next Vader, because all she ever knew was war.
Yeah.
Ever. And she was trained by Anakin.
Yeah. So
very true. Very true.
And to the Sabine point too, because we've seen probably thousands of Force users at this point from the prequels beyond. And we're okay with just anybody wielding the Force. Literally everybody in Star Wars, we're like, yeah, sure, why not? Jod, nah, why not? Sure, younglings in the prequels, absolutely. But as soon as Sabine does, it became a problem. And again, because we got so many seasons of her in Rebels, and she didn't wield the Force, but she also, trained with Ahsoka and Kanan, and is a Mandalorian.
I think the most important thing about her using the Force in Ahsoka is not like, well, how powerful is she, or how good is her training? Because about an hour ago, she couldn't move a cup. But I think it kind of like reeled us back in from power scaling and went, oh yeah, like everybody's like midichlorian count, we're kind of like easing off here. This is not an elitist, like you have to be a member of the freaking club to use the Force. Like it's everywhere with enough discipline, you can figure it out. So I think that was like making the Force kind of mystical again. It was like the most important thing that happened out of
Well, let's put it this way. Luke Skywalker, zero training.
Yeah.
Zero training. He's got, I guess I take that back. He's got the training with Obi-Wan when he puts on the Millennium Falcon to Alderaan. That's it. Come the beginning of Empire Strikes Back, he's grabbing the lightsaber off the ground using the Force when he's hanging upside down with the Wampa. He hasn't trained with Yoda yet. He has zero training. And it's not until Obi-Wan comes to him when he's dying on Hoth and says, go to Yoda on Dagobah. So he has learned that ability to grab that lightsaber off the snow by himself, just in between movies, just for fun. So the fact that we can get past the fact that Luke, who's got zero training and zero masters to train him in between A New Hope and Empire, and he can wield the Force, he can grab that lightsaber, and then he goes and trains with Yoda. And Sabine can't after all that time with training with two separate Jedi Masters.
Wimpy. No.
I always just go back to, if this original trilogy came out today, it would get so scrutinized. It would be
get torn
insane.
apart. I'll throw this out there. I wish the argument was about like defending Sabine out there instead of like, oh, I didn't approve of this girl using the Force though. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of the vibe out there when it came out. It's more like, dude, Sabine's like the most like rugged individualist of all the animated series, and like does her own thing and is great for it. So
it was supposed to be like a 5-second question.
Yeah, I know.
No, I love this. I love this.
But like it would have maybe like been a cooler moment for her to be like, dude, I'm not a failure because I didn't use the Force. You know,
failure.
She can still use a lightsaber. 3 of them still could have used a lightsaber, and it would have been sick to have her use a lightsaber regardless, and she knows how. I think it'd be more about like defending how the integrity of like she wouldn't be failing if she couldn't do it. and it kind of presents like, oh, success of the whole show is that she finally did it, and that's great. But I wish that were more of the defense rather than like, nope, I didn't approve before they made that, So
yeah, and it's again the over exaggeration was because she pushes Ezra to the ship.
Right.
Ezra force jumps himself, and then she force pushes him, and he doesn't make it. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make it, and then he falls. He doesn't even make it. He has to grab on to the little last ledge or whatever at the bottom, and then climb up. Like he doesn't even make it, so it is a failure. But she only does that, which is force push a guy who's already force jumped and grab a lightsaber off the ground. Which, if we're okay with Luke doing that in Empire without any training, then why are we not okay with that? Sabine doing it with tons of training.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and April made a good point that they did that to Rey as well.
Yeah,
Rey
crap on her because she's a woman.
Yeah, well, that and all of a sudden she has these force powers, but that is my thing too, because Luke's a Skywalker, so he has a lot more midichlorians in him, and same with Rey.
She's a Palpatine.
Yeah, she's a Palpatine. I mean, she's got she's pretty strong in it.
Well, I think another point for the both of them is that like they're probably using it all the time growing up and have no idea. Luke being the best pilot on Tatooine for no explicable reason.
Right.
Yep.
Has nothing. Same with Anakin being able to race a pod.
Well, Shin took pretty light work of her.
Yeah, pushed her actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's my
okay. So I had to look this up because we were talking about bloodlines, and Papa Boz brought up in the chat too, Luke is a Skywalker, so that's the argument of why he can use the Force. And same thing with Palpatine, because Rey's a Palpatine, so she should have a very high midichlorian count. But Rey's dad, Dathan, is a clone of Palpatine, and he has 0 Force abilities to our knowledge. But I had to look this up because Sabine, we know there's only one previous Force sensitive or Jedi Mandalorian, that's Tar Vizsla. So I looked it up. Is Sabine related to Tar Vizsla? Yes, Sabine Wren is related to Tar Vizsla. She belongs to Clan Wren, which is a vessel or a vassal, a family underneath the House Vizsla. So it's House Vizsla, and then Clan Wren is sort of an offshoot of that. So technically, she is of the bloodline of the one Jedi Mandalorian. So if Luke's a Skywalker, so he's got Force abilities, Rey's a Palpatine, so she's got Force abilities, Sabine's a Vizsla, and Tar Vizsla's the only Jedi Mandalorian.
Nice. Well, there we
go.
go.
Hate that. I don't hate it.
Yeah. And we'll wrap it on that. I know we can.
Wait.
Stayed on Mando and Grogu.
With that being said, Embo destroys Sabine Wren.
Thank you. Thank you. Mike's ready every day, Papa Boz. Every day.
Yeah.
Oh, I know we can, and we didn't even get to all of the Mandalorian movie, and I'm sure, and Grogu, I'm sure we'll continue to talk about this as we go along. We didn't even get to talk about some of the Ahsoka stuff that's coming up. So if we didn't already, you'll get to hear more about it tomorrow on Mike's podcast. So make sure you check out Mike's podcast tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. A guy who loves Star Wars. I'm sure most everybody in here is already a member and watches it regularly like we all do. So check that out tomorrow. Thank you guys all for being here. I know we all have busy schedules, and I'm glad that Derek didn't have to work, and Nick's here and Mike's here. So appreciate you guys coming on, and appreciate everybody in the chat tonight. So we're going to continue as long as you guys like these. Do me a favor once we get off here in the chat. Let me know if you like the Q&A, if you guys like the mic drop. We're going to keep trying to do those. I think those are cool segments for us to talk about, whether people are dying or dead, or who Mike's going to kill off, in the next animated or live action or movie. But the Q&As are also cool as well. I know Nick's brought a few of them into us, and we'll probably get to some of those at some point back to that as well. But I love having the chat also join in and us being able to answer some of your questions. And we'll get back to regular questions. I know there was a couple other regular questions in here tonight. We really wanted to sort of stick with Mandalorian and Grogu, but we'll get back to that. So thank you guys all for being here. Appreciate everything that you guys do when you come here and chat with us. And you three guys, I appreciate you bringing your Star Wars knowledge to the table here so we can all have a good time and have our own opinions. And that, I think, showed tonight, which is great. And we all love all of it, but we all have our own opinions of each of it. And that's the cool part about Star Wars. And I'm gonna go see the Mandalorian and Grogu and again, and I'm sure we all will.
Me too.
Hopefully by next week. But until then. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you on the next Star Wars Jedi chat. May the Force be with you. See you guys.